Hi, welcome to Saving America's Pets. This is BG, and I'm Holly Sizemore, Chief Mission Officer for Best Friends Animal Society. In episode 10, we shared some of the latest animal welfare data and highlighted Delaware, America's first no-kill state. People wanted to hear more good no-kill news from around the nation, and we aim to please. So let's hear about more bright spots. Since 2016, when Best Friends declared our goal of a no-kill country by 2025, the number of cats and dogs being killed in the U.S. has decreased by 58%. That's a whopping 2.3 million more animals that have been saved by our nation's shelters and their partners. Today, I've invited Vicki Kilmer, Director of Business Intelligence and Strategy for Best Friends Animal Society. Vicki's 25 years of leadership experience in analytics and marketing have been critical in helping Best Friends and the animal welfare industry strategically use data to form its evolution and focus. Welcome, Vicki. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Holly. Appreciate you inviting me on.
There were some really incredible bright spots in Lifesaving in 2019. Tell us about some of those.
Absolutely. Well, to begin with, our life-saving gap that we're solving for decreased 107,000. We are now down to 625,000, which of course is still way too many dogs and cats, but great strides overall. On a state level, some really exciting news as well. So we typically, as folks that have been watching our data collection year over year, we typically look at where the bulk of the dogs and cats dying are so that we can focus our on-the-ground resources. And we've seen year over year that 5 states make up over 50% of dogs and cats dying in the country.
Wow.
So that gives us really, really clear direction on where to focus our efforts. And we saw some major shifts in those 5 states this year. To begin with, Texas knocked it out of the park with the largest life-saving improvement in raw numbers of dogs and cats saved, over 17,000.
Wow.
Fabulous. The other big move was Georgia. All you Georgians out there, woohoo! Georgia reduced their life-saving gap by nearly 1/3 in a single.
Wow.
Amazing. Over 30% life-saving improvement in Georgia has moved it out of the number 5 slot, and now Louisiana will be our number 5 area of focus for our top 5 states.
That is incredible progress, and it's exciting to hear that news. And in my role, I often get to hear about the progress that's happening on a day-to-day as we partner with so many incredible organizations across the country. And your team crunched some numbers that even surprised me around Best Friends and the shelters that choose to engage with Best Friends. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it surprised me too. There were some definite nuggets, compelling nuggets in there. So I'm happy to share about that. So we looked at organizations with which we had engaged in programming, everything from embeds to assessments to mentorships, our whole array of programming. We looked at those in totality. And there were 456 shelters with which we had engaged that had year-over-year data, with which we were able to look at year-over-year improvement. And when we looked at those shelters isolated as compared to the other 4,000 shelters out there, what we saw was that the shelters that we are partnering with side by side in programming efforts are increasing their life saving by 3.5 times the rate of shelters with which we are not yet partnering.
Incredible. And I was even more surprised when you broke that out with cats and dogs. Now we know, and I've said this before on our show, and you reiterate this as well in the data every year, that cats are dying at a disproportionate higher rate than dogs. It was 2-to-1 in 2018. Now it's a little over 2-to-1.
More than 2-to-1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so tell us in terms of cat engagement, shelters that engage with Best Friends on cat programming are saving lives at what the rate?
12 times. 12 times the rate. Really, really great, compelling results for our cat programming. The challenge, of course, being so many cats, clearly an increasing priority, how we can scale that to save more cats.
Right, that is the trick. Scaling the great programs and also creating the legal and political landscape we need for the cat policy and programmatic solutions that we know work, which is really about making sure that we can do trap, neuter, return, and return to field programs, right?
Absolutely, and we're just seeing that, as you alluded to, an increasing need. We've known cats are the priority, but we saw that even increase this year with now over 69% of our life-saving gap being cats.
Right, still a lot of work to do with cats.
Good
news is we know how to do it. Now we just got to get out
there. That's right.
You're right. Another great statistic is around no-kill, and once a shelter reaches no-kill, the likelihood of them remaining no-kill. What's up with that?
Yeah, so we looked at this after last year's data set. We did some analysis, and when we just completed the 2019 data set, that was one of the first things we wanted to go back and look and see, has this held or did it change? And the numbers actually held directly. There was no change. And it's some really promising news. So the longer a shelter is no-kill, the more likely they are to retain that no-kill status. That's somewhat logical, but this was what really encouraged us. Over 91% of shelters that attain that no-kill threshold are retaining no-kill status. Of that 9% that fall off, 50% are regaining or getting back up to 90% or more the subsequent year.
Wow.
So great sustainability picture.
That is a great sustainability picture. I talk to shelter directors all over the country, and sometimes I hear them say, getting to no-kill is hard and sustaining it is even harder. And yet we know it can be done. And it really is about the community continuing to support the shelter in the way that they did to help them achieve it, because those animals still need our help. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right. That's really great news. Your team also tracks public sentiment around no-kill. What does the latest data show us?
We wanted to understand, does the general public, it was a national study, does the general public understand the term no-kill, what that means? Can they relate to it? Is it important to them? And so we asked a series of questions, and the high points were that, first of all, surprising to me, 88% of respondents said that they were aware of no-kill, they were familiar with that terminology. And then we wanted to dig a little deeper and understand how important it was to them. Was it something that they cared about as a community issue? And shockingly, 81% of respondents said that it was extremely important to absolutely critical for their local shelter to be no-kill. I was so encouraged by that. Interestingly, however, when we asked, do you know if your local shelter is no-kill? So very important to them, but only 42% actually knew if they were or not.
Well, Vicki, we know that it's not just a cliche when they say what gets measured gets managed. And I want to thank you and your dedicated team for making sure that Best Friends and the animal welfare industry as a whole has the relevant data that we need to save those lives. So we'll be sure to put a link to the Pet Lifesaving dashboard, and also there's an animal welfare statistics page that will also include a link to, so if people want to dive into the data even more, they know how to get there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Holly.
Thank you, Vicki. Take care. Please check out the description for a link to the Pet Lifesaving dashboard, where you can get a view of national, state, community, and shelter lifesaving. And if you really want to dive deep into the data, go to the Animal Welfare Stats page. We'll also give a link as well. Because together, with the power of knowledge, we can save them all.